I talk a lot about productivity because it's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I think is relevant to everyone, and a lot of us are asking the question, how do I get more done? In today's video, I'm gonna walk you through the exact answer to that question. Everything on this list is something that has genuinely changed my life and work in a drastic way. These are things that I implement regularly and that I truly can't recommend enough if you're trying to figure out how to actually be productive and get things done. Number one, you have to stop seeing productivity as a moral accomplishment. Attaching any semblance of worth to crossing a certain threshold creates so much anxiety and fear from not hitting that you lose the ability to prioritize effectively. Increasing your capacity to get things done requires you to give up the idea that you're going to get everything right on the first try. You're not. And if you do, it's probably because you're spending so much time trying to get it right that you are severely limiting your potential. In order to get things done and to get more done than you have previously, you have to be willing to show up messily and imperfectly. Find the right workload. When we're talking about productivity and getting more done, it's really easy to go too far on this. Overload yourself with a to-do list that's not realistic or healthy. You know where this gets you? Burnout. But on the flip side, giving yourself too little to do is also problematic. I've experienced both sides of this, and while I feel like we all kind of know what burnout looks like, I don't feel like we talk about the other side of this enough. The most primary and fresh example of this for me is my YouTube uploading schedule. At the start of the year, I decided that I was gonna upload every single day in January. Way too much. I burned out in less than a week. Then in February, I decided to upload 3 times a week. And this is interesting because it was so close to being the right workload, but it wasn't. I also didn't have a clear plan of what else I was going to be doing in my work week aside from filming, editing, and uploading 3 videos, which quite honestly, if I'm really set my mind to it, I can knock out in 2 days. Because I had so much extra time in my week, I wasn't making good use of it at all. I missed uploads, I was often feeling flustered and running behind on my schedule. And then in April, I started uploading every other day, which sometimes is still 3 videos a week, sometimes it's 4, depends on the week. I've literally never been as productive as I have been in the last 5 weeks. There's more that goes into that, but a huge part of it has been finding a workload balance that is absolutely perfect for me and where I'm at currently. I'm feeling much more ahead on my goals because when I post a video, I'm posting again in 2 days. So I have to have another video that is filmed, edited, ready to go by that time. And it has cut my perfectionism off the knees and kept me from overthinking in the best way. Learn to create motivation. This is probably my hottest take in this video because for years and years, I have really worked to emphasize that motivation is not the goal, that it's not that important and you can't rely on it. And while I do still agree that you can't rely on motivation, or at least you shouldn't rely on motivation, in the last 6 months, I've learned a lot about how to create motivation for myself, and this has really changed my stance on it. Motivation for me is this feeling of excitement. I feel energized and ready. Motivation is never gonna be a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week kind of a thing. You're not always in that state of excitement and passion, that rush you get when you're really excited about something. But when you do feel that, it is an unbelievably powerful tool. The process of cultivating motivation is probably something that will look a little bit different for everyone, but I wanna tell you about what works for me because it's been incredible. I established a really clear, specific vision for what I'm working towards. This could be something like a dollar figure you're trying to earn, a job title you're trying to get, developing an incredibly thorough Sunday reset routine. I'm a very visual person, so I love going on Pinterest, finding images that really represent what I'm trying to work towards and are actual physical images of these specific things that I'm working towards. This is not to idealize or idolize specific achievements, but for me, being able to look at physical proof that somebody else has accomplished the goal I'm working towards gives me so much more confidence that I'll actually be able to cross that threshold. The third way that I've learned to create motivation is to be a little bit delusional. This is something I heard Bria Jones talk about, and I've been thinking about it so much over the last couple months. It makes me think about childhood and being a kid and really believing like, hey, I could do anything and go anywhere, and I could be the person that does that. And I think so many of us lose that on our way to adulthood. Just like, well, that hardly ever works out, or that only works out for some people. And I just hate that. You wanna make wise decisions. You wanna consider all the factors before you make a big life-changing decision. But at the same time, I wanna be a little bit delusional because I set kind of insane goals for myself. And I haven't hit every single one of them, but I have hit some. When I started my YouTube channel, I told people that I had a really clear goal of getting monetized by the end of 4 months. And I had a lot of people tell me like, oh yeah, great, totally, like you got this. Or like that kind of, okay, well, you know what happens if maybe you don't hit that? And I understand it came from a place of concern and love and wanting to protect me and make sure that I was making smart decisions. But I refused to accept or believe that I would not hit that goal. And you know what happened? I hit it 6 weeks early. Things don't always work out like that. There are some goals that you can do everything right, you can follow all the steps, you can make the best decisions possible with the information you have available to you and still not hit it. But I want to maintain a state of just enough delusion to believe that I am capable of doing crazy, uncommon, difficult, statistically improbable things. Because if I don't, then I'm already counting myself out. The next productivity that I want to talk about is very related to this, but it's not specifically tied in with motivation, and that is is finding evidence for your brain. I don't know about you, but I am my own worst critic forever. I've told you guys before how I tend to write my own hate comments in my head, very, very hard on myself. And that's something that I'm working on. I am in therapy. It's really helpful. But the problem with being in my own head is that I know all of the times that I've let myself down. I know about all of my failures, all the times I set a goal and didn't hit it. And when I'm working towards something, those times tend to be a lot louder than remembering my successes. So in those seasons of working towards something, I really like to prioritize finding evidence for my brain that I am accomplishing what I've set out to. On the days when I feel the least motivated or the least able to accomplish things, when I sit down and look at my to-do list and I don't want to do a single thing on it, that is my brain telling me, you're not gonna be productive today. You can't get any of this done today. You're not in the right headspace. You don't feel motivated enough. And that is a thought that I can change. I don't want to oversimplify this or just like tell yourself that that's not true and you're fine. It's not always that simple. Things like cold showers. If you are somebody who's really trying to increase their productivity, I would highly recommend starting out by doing really hard things that aren't actually related to the area you most want to increase your productivity in. When you get up in the morning, take a cold shower. Stay in the water as long as you can stand it and then get out. But once I've done that in the morning, I've already done something that I was extremely uncomfortable with, that I did not want to do. And whatever else happens in the rest of the day, I know that I'm capable of doing those things that day because I've already done it. Standing in freezing cold water for a minute is so much worse than typing out an email that I'm not in the mood to type out. Then when I approach work or cleaning or whatever it is that I'm trying to increase my productivity in, I have concrete evidence and confidence that I can point to and rely on. And that is so helpful. Productivity really is a mental game. Okay, so I know I literally just told you that creating motivation is a huge part of this and motivation is amazing, and it is. But I do still maintain that you should not be relying on motivation because motivation is an emotional response and sometimes that's really hard to control. While yes, creating motivation is really helpful and important, I am also a big believer that you should create systems that work when you don't want to. The first step to this is really just getting to know your own brain and establishing what it is that motivates you, what it is that excites you, what's maybe really discouraging or makes you feel tired, lethargic, what keeps you from being into your everyday and loving your life. These are important things to know. The better that you understand how your brain, your personality responds to these things, the easier it is to sort of hack the system a little bit and create structures that will really support your productivity. I am a planner, I'm an overthinker. When I don't have a really clear plan or list for what needs to get done, it can sometimes be paralyzing for me. I will literally stare at my to-do list for hours trying to figure out where to start rather than just knocking something off the list. Since I've been able to identify this about myself, I'm often able to just be like, no, I'm just gonna knock off one thing on the list. I'll pick the easiest thing, get it done, and then move on with my life. One of the best things I've done to combat this is using time blocking. Just giving myself a set amount of time for something keeps me from being able to obsess about what do I need to prioritize right now. And another thing I've learned about myself is that as much as I am a planner, I also do a lot of creative work, and creativity is not something that I can schedule. It shows up when it shows up, and I feel inspired when I feel inspired. This is not the video that I was planning on filming today, but I woke up this morning and I was like, I want to talk about this today. So here I am filming this. So part of my systems now is giving myself the flexibility to change my schedule, to change my video plan, and to make adjustments as often as possible and as much as I need to, because that's what creates the best work. Which brings me to my next point, which is that as much as productivity is not about perfectionism, it's also not just about getting the most amount of work done possible. I really don't want to glamorize a lifestyle that demands that you give up everything that matters to you in order to just get more done. The most important things to me in my life are my marriage, my faith, my family and friends, period. I absolutely love what I do for work. I love doing YouTube. This is a dream job for me, and I will happily do it until the day I die. But YouTube is not more important to me than those things. Creating videos, uploading them on time is never gonna be more important to me than those things. And it is essential for me to maintain that balance. And part of the reason that I work so hard on YouTube is so that I'm able to spend more time on those things and be fully present in those moments. That's what productivity is for me. It's being able to contribute to the world in meaningful ways that are true to who I am, that will actually benefit other people and help me create a lifestyle that I love. This next one is something I actually heard as a tip for ADHD specifically, but I think it's so relevant for everyone, and that is use procrastination to your advantage. I don't know about you, but when there's something that I really don't want to do, I suddenly become very engaged in everything else that probably should get done at some point, because I'm just looking for any excuse, any reason to avoid doing that one thing. And while that can be extremely unhelpful at times when I'm really trying to contribute in meaningful meaningful ways, it's also a great time to go knock out a bunch of other stuff. All of those little things that didn't sound that appealing suddenly sound way more appealing when I'm trying to avoid something that sounds worse. So if you are somebody that struggles with procrastination, get strategic with it. The next way to actually be productive and get more done is to make your environment fun. I cannot scream this from the rooftops enough. I think in the world of productivity, we often tend to really glamorize hardship of it or of discipline. No pain, no gain, you gotta learn to push through it. And like sometimes that's true. If you can make things fun, do it. Like as much as possible, do it. A lot of the time when I have work tasks I don't want to do or cleaning tasks that I'm really not in the mood for, it's literally made so much more fun by just throwing in my headphones, listening to an audiobook or a podcast or music or whatever it is. I love YouTube and I'll often put on videos that are similar to what I'm doing in real life while I'm doing it. So like for example, if I'm cleaning the house, I'll watch someone's clean with me vlog or like a Sunday weekly reset routine because I feel so much more motivated when I'm watching them make progress. It feels like I'm making that progress too. Finally, last but not least, if you want to actually be productive and get more done, you need to take time to rest. Have days where you actually plan to not be motivated in the same way, or where you don't need to produce anything or accomplish anything. This has genuinely been one of the most productive seasons of my life, and I have become fiercely protective over my weekends, where I am much more defensive of how I use my time during those 2 days. And by that I mean I've been doing very little on the weekend. Between Monday to Friday, I've been going incredibly hard on work, and on Saturday, I usually sit on the couch and read for like 4 to 6 hours. It is lovely. And having that break makes me so much more ready and excited to then jump back into the week on Monday. When I work over the weekends, I am exponentially less productive the week following because I haven't had a chance to catch my breath or to kind of like come down from the adrenaline of motivation. I don't know if there's any like physiological science to back that up, but I very much experienced that as much as I've gotten good at creating my own motivation, I cannot maintain, like physically can't maintain a high level of excitement at all times. I can do it for a while, but then eventually I just like burn out and I'm exhausted and it takes me a bit to catch my breath. Take a day off and you'll perform better the next day, I promise you. Productivity is something that I have loved learning about for years, but it's become a particular passion of mine in the last few years as I've really started to understand more and more about the human brain and just how we can work with it instead of against it. I think there are so many things in our world that were set up a certain way because people were doing the best that they could with the information that they had, but we're just learning so much more about motivation, habits, routine, and what it all means, and also how we can interact with it and engage with it most effectively. And I want to maximize that to show up as the best possible version of myself whenever I can. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. It is a huge way that you can support my channel. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys have a good day because today is a good day to have a good day. And that's it. Bye.